Dear students, in this presentation I shall brief you on one of the effects of air pollution, that is smog. You'd have heard of traffic jams, traffic blocks and accidents in Delhi during the winter season, and people keeping out of off the roads during the season, and that is because of the smog. Now this is a very destructive menace of air pollution. We shall see in detail what this is. Now smog is nothing but a mixture of smoke and fog. Alright, and it appears as a dark grey or brown haze. That means you will not be able to see further after a particular distance. Far away things cannot be seen. It will be hazy in appearance. Alright, it looks as if there is nothing beyond. Now this phenomenon, that is the smog, is mainly affected in industrial areas and highly populated and highly urban areas. Now wherever there is high traffic, there also you can expect to find smog. Now the smog is mainly formed, or it's a phenomenon due to the emissions from vehicles and industries, and also due to the burning of wood and fossil fuel like petrol and diesel, kerosene, etc. And these gases, when it mix with, the gases which are emitted, these emissions, which when it mix with the fog, which is commonly seen during the winter season, then we find smog. So it is the emissions from the vehicles and industries and the weather condition that results in smog. Now these emissions, when the ultraviolet rays of sun acts on these emissions, particularly the particulate matter and volatile organic compounds, the VOC, then smog is created. Alright, now we'll see what are the effects of smog. Now when smog is formed, or when we find smog, it particularly affects the respiratory system, the eyes, the environment, etc. Now we shall see one by one what are the effects. It affects the irritates the respiratory system. It causes reduction in lung function, difficulty in breathing, and it may even trigger asthma. Triggering of asthma means it may even start asthma. It may act as a starting for asthma, the smog, continuous exposure to smog. Similarly, continuous exposure to smog will cause irritation of eyes. That is, you will feel a burning sensation, and sometimes your eyes will be always watering. Okay, tears will be continuously coming from your eyes. So irritation of eyes. And those people who already have certain respiratory problems will be affected more. And remember, it is the old and the young. It means people who are very old and children who are, young children below 10 years, they are more affected by smog. We can also have, due to smog, even skin irritations are possible, rashes are possible, because due to the combination of the vehicular and industrial emissions and sunlight, when they come together, ozone will be produced, and ozone will be produced. When we are exposed to ozone, it is very dangerous. We know that there are two types of ozone, good ozone and bad ozone, and ozone and in the when we come in contact with the ozone, then it is bad. But the ozone which is present between the stratosphere and troposphere is good because it protects us from UV rays. Okay, that we had discussed in our presentation on ozone depletion. The way it affects human beings, similarly, it affects plants and animals also. Okay, it has a wide effect on environment. It affects the growth and productivity of plants and trees. It also causes respiratory problems for animals too. Above all this, there is traffic. It will create traffic jam, and there will be increased number of accidents because the visibility of the drivers will be reduced. It's because they will not be able to see vehicles or anything coming from a far distance. Okay, only when it comes near to them they'll think before that accident would have occurred. So these are the effects of smog. Respiratory problems, burning sensation and watery eyes, skin rashes. It affects people, old people and children and people with existing health problems, particularly existing respiratory diseases. And it affects the environment via the affecting on the trees and plants. The productivity of growth of trees and plants will be affected, and also it will affect the animals. Their respiratory system will also be affected. So these are the effects of smog. Now, what is the control measures? How can we control smog? How can we prevent smog? The best way is prevent pollution. That is, you use the renewable energy like solar energy, etc. That is, don't depend on fossil fuels, particularly petrol, diesel, kerosene, coal, etc. It is the chemicals, these oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, which comes out due to the burning of fossil fuels that fog, the chemicals responsible for smog is formed. Then what you can do is you manage the emissions from vehicles and industries. That is, you have to control the vehicular emissions and industrial emissions. Particularly if in vehicles you can use catalytic converters, in industries you can use all those even the catalytic converter electrostatic precipitators. That is, before the gaseous emissions are sent to the environment, you can purify a bit, okay, clean it a bit, filter it a bit, and then emit it into the environment. As far as possible, avoid emissions. Reduce the use of vehicles. That's another important way of controlling smog. Go for public transport method, carpooling, etc. When you reduce the number of vehicles, vehicular emissions will come down. Now that's why the Delhi government had opted for the means, that is, by allowing vehicles with odd and even number one day. If odd numbered vehicles move, the next day only the even number private vehicles are allowed. So in that way you can control a bit of smog or emitting the particulate matter which causes smog. And then at our end, at the household end, you can reduce help in the control of smog by reducing the use of products which has high level of volatile organic compounds. Products like paint, varnishes which have high volatile organic compounds, reduce their use of body sprays. We know that they're all having volatile organic compounds. There are certain paints nowadays which are VOC free, volatile organic compound free. So look out for such products and use it. So these are the control methods: use of renewable energy, avoid use of fossil fuel or petrol, diesel, kerosene, etc. Manage your vehicular emissions and industrial emissions. Use public transport for conveyance, or go for carpooling. Reduce the number of vehicles which are on road, and also avoid use of household materials which produce VOC. So these are the control methods. Now, there are two types of smog: London smog and Los Angeles smog. Okay, or you can call it as classical smog and photochemical smog. Regarding the two types of smog, we shall discuss in the next video. So in this presentation, if you have any doubt, please do ask. We shall clear it. All right. Thank you.